Hi, this is natalchart and welcome to Mystic Mooneries. On today's video, we will be going over what it means to have the north node in the second house and the south node in the eighth house of your natal chart. If you enjoyed this video, please click like and don't forget to subscribe and comment on anything that resonates with you from this video. So without wasting any more time, let's get into what it means when you have the north node in the second house and the south node in the eighth. Okay, so people with this placement are dealing with, the polarity between financial independence, which is the second house, and financial dependence, which is the eighth house, right? It also deals with having to find self esteem through the other versus finding self esteem through your own being, your own self. Um, And by this, I mean, when you have this placement, you tend to be more comfortable with living off of other people's finances or other people's resources. This can also be seen as having, a sense of dependence on another person for your own self worth or self esteem, as opposed to seeking it from yourself. And, as a result of this, you could be someone that has this nagging need or being in this constant surge to merge with another person, such as in the case of a soulmate, um, and this deep need to be in your eighth house energy, which is very much soulmate energy, where you are enmeshed with another person and to become one type of energy. It can cause you to be the type of person who is very quick to become intimate with another person very quickly on, in the relationship. And by intimate, it could be sexually, it could be financially, it could be energetically, creating soul ties very quickly in a relationship before you get to know the person. And, this can be seen as having a lack of boundaries um, when it comes to your own energy because you're so quick to share and combine your energy with another person, that it could really leave you vulnerable to certain people that might take advantage of you. Um, so that's just one of the characteristics you might see with somebody with this placement. Um, One of the examples that I like to use, and I think it's a very basic example of how this energy can also manifest, is, for example, we could see someone who may have been raised in a financially well off family, where you had all your financial needs met, resulting in you becoming extremely comfortable, entitled, and, complacent in your family's resources instead of making your own money, right? Or this energy could manifest where you could be somebody who's constantly attracting, whether consciously or unconsciously, partners who can take care of you so that you don't have to work for your own money. Um, both cases are very much eighth house energy where you are using other people's resources, you're using other people's finances. Um, what's mine is yours type of energy that comes with the intimacy of the eighth house and the enmeshment of two souls becoming one, that you see in the eighth house. And so there's a lack of financial independence there. Um, and in both cases, both scenarios, this type of financial dependence that you might have can really leave you um, vulnerable to certain events that are also eighth house energy, such as, in the case of um, death or a traumatic experience that might lead to financial abuse, or, like I said before, you might lose the person that you're financially dependent on. They might die, or you might go through a divorce, or they might face like some sort of financial disaster, um, and that could all leave you quite destitute, right? They might incur a lot of debt, and all those types of things that are very eighth house energy, um, could also basically be a trigger for the transformation that needs to happen for you to embrace more of your node in the second house, right? So I just need to mention that these are just examples that I'm giving. Um, I know these focus mainly on the financial aspects of these houses, but this could also manifest through energy. This could manifest through living off of someone else's energy, living off of someone else's resources. It doesn't have to be financial, um, but you might be the type of person where in order to feel as if you are worthy, in order for you to have some sense of self esteem, you kind of need someone else's energy to kind of fuse with yours, or for them to, like, you become quite emotionally dependent on another person in order for you to feel secure in yourself, in order for you to feel a sense of, self esteem. You need validation through another person constantly pouring into you. It doesn't have to just be finances, but it could also be a sense of having this emotional um, dependence, because eighth house energy is very much an intimate house. It's a psychological house. It's a very deep spiritual house. So you could basically, I don't want to call you an energy vampire, but it can have that kind of energy where you just want to live off of someone else's energy in order to have a sense of security within yourself. Um, So yeah, it's just um, putting it out there that it doesn't have to manifest through finances only, but I like to use the financial examples because they're just very simple and very straightforward. And I think, yeah, it's a great way a simple way rather, to kind of grasp the energy of this kind of polarity between eighth house and second house. So just continuing with the theme of the financial dependence, that would be the south node energy of the eighth house, where you have become accustomed to, living off of someone else's efforts, living off of someone else's resources and finances. You could end up becoming so complacent, to the point where you start to feel as if, maybe I don't really have what it takes to make my own money, so I am going to live off of somebody else. And um and the more you sit in this energy, the more you continue to stay in the south node, um tendencies and the comfort zone of the south node, the more the thought of going out there in the world and making your own money will become a very uncomfortable and very daunting thought for you. Um, and this deep sense of discomfort could come from a profound lack of self worth and self esteem, which is underdeveloped in your case because that's the theme of the second house. Um, and it's this self worth and this self esteem that you need to develop in order to feel confident enough to make a living with your own talents and skills. Um, and yeah, you need to develop that in this lifetime with the north node in the second house. So this placement also encourages you to develop a sense of material values, right? Because when you are living off of someone else's efforts or resources and you don't have to work for anything, it becomes quite hard to value any of the things that are being given to you on a silver platter. So that's why the main task of the north node in the second house, is to learn to work for your own money and work for your own possessions because that will also make you have a sense of understanding of their value. It'll also help you to value the possessions that you have and also understanding like what is it that I even value? You know, it's hard to figure out what it is that you value and what is important to you and what it is that you um, genuinely like and enjoy doing when you are living off of somebody else's finances, when you're living at the mercy of somebody else, you know, because you may have had to basically, because remember the eighth house is all about enmeshing into one person, right? So it could happen where because you're dependent on this person financially, you don't have much say about the things that are your possessions. Um, for example, they might like certain things, and then you end up thinking that you like those things because they're the ones that they have to, they're the ones that have to pay for those things. Um, or you lose yourself in the enmeshment of, this connection where there's no sense of individuality and understanding of what it is that is important to you, what it is that you value. Because when you are as intimate in a connection that is represented in the eighth house, it's almost as if there is no you necessarily. There's just an us. Um, and so there's no sense of I value this. It's a we value this type of thing. So you need to learn to understand and learn what it is that you value, what it is that you like, what it is that you enjoy, and not what we enjoy as a unit. It's not about that person anymore. You don't have to appease them anymore. Um, you really need to figure out what it is that matters to you. So that would be you embracing more of the second house energy of understanding what your values are as an individual, right? Um, Another thing with this placement is You might be somebody who can be quite careless with money because remember, the second house is all about financial independence, making money with your own skills and resources, accumulating wealth, and that comes with financial responsibility, right? And when you are operating and are used to the southnode energies, you don't have to deal with the financial responsibilities. You just spend the money. You were just given what you were given. You didn't have to do the budgeting. You didn't have to do the earning. And so those skills of budgeting and earning and, being financially savvy, being financially responsible, those skills are very much underdeveloped for you because it's something that you had left um, to somebody else to do. And because of that, you can be quite reckless when it comes to money spending. Um, and that's something that needs to be really, um, that you need to be very cautious of, and you need to learn to develop as a skill, to be financially literate and financially, savvy and responsible altogether. Um, and you'll see this even when somebody has embraced a part of their second house node by earning money. All right. So you'll find that okay, we've now reached the point where maybe I went through some where at some point when I was young I was financially dependent. I did live, you know, very lavishly and I was financially comfortable and never had to think about earning money. And I was quite spoiled, life was good. And then something happened, some sort of traumatic crisis type of transformative experience happened that may have, urged me or pushed and forced me to embrace my north node in the second house. And I ended up having to learn to use my skills and my abilities to earn my own money and be financially independent because of whatever eighth house, crisis that happened to trigger uh, this change. And you'll find that even when they have embraced, being somebody who can earn their own money with their own skills and abilities, they'll still have this south node tendency of still wanting to kind of um, push a bit of the financial responsibility to their partner. For example, they'll go and make the money, but then they'll give the bank cards to their partner and tell them to kind of manage the household budgets and they must, budget for them and, be the ones to basically make sure that they're not spending a lot of money or tell them what they need to spend on. Um, so while they have embraced their second house node and they have gone out and they're making their own money, there's still that sense of not really wanting to not really wanting to take full responsibility. And so you really need to watch out for that because you could again end up being taken advantage of financially by that partner because they're also quite quick to do this. They're very quick to give a new partner they just got into a relationship with and give them the reins, the financial reins very quickly. Um, so again, it's like eighth house energy, just wanting to be already in that last stage of the relationship with people. They want to start where you're supposed to end, type of thing, where um, you know, we just met, but you already talking about finances and giving me your bank card and telling me that I need to put you on a budget and all those types of things. And oh, let's have like a joint bank account. That time we've been dating for like 6 months or something, or even less, or whatever the case is. But they really need to um, watch out for still possibly going back or reverting back into their southnode tendencies that might leave them vulnerable in the end. They really need to be careful of not reverting back to old habits, right? Um, all right. So another part of this placement could be seen through, having experienced some kind of trauma in the eighth house, like I said in the example earlier. Um, Most of the time, with this example of being financially dependent, even if it's not financially dependent, whatever type of eighth house energy dependence that you've created with the other person, um, normally, because this is the eighth house, normally when you sit in that south node energy and you don't try to embrace your second house energy, they normally will be a eighth house type of transformation that potentially could be traumatic, because this is the house of trauma. This is the house of, the darker side of life. So this is the house of crisis and transformation. And really, most of the time, it's very uncomfortable, very traumatic, very painful. So you could experience some sort of event that could be traumatic, could be, quite painful and or uncomfortable, and, affect you psychologically, that you have to go through. And it will be a trigger point most of the time, eh, as a lesson that will trigger your transformation towards moving um, in the direction of your second house. So, whatever that occasion is, whatever that event is, um, that normally will be the trigger for you taking a stand and saying, you know what, I don't ever want to go through this ever again. I didn't realize how vulnerable I was, um, by relying so much on another person, whether financially, energetically, sexually, etc., whatever, psychologically, you will experience, you know, just how dangerous it is to put yourself in that vulnerable situation. And you will use that experience as a trigger point towards being more independent, more, um, moving towards a direction of finding more confidence in yourself instead of seeking it from somebody else, and building your self esteem, building your confidence to be able to stand on your own and, live off of your own talents and your own, abilities. So, yeah, you'll find that a lot of people with displacement, they had that type of um, pattern that happened where, at some point you were comfortable through living off of others in some way, and then a catastrophic event happened, and it was a learning um, opportunity for you. Traumatic, yes, but it was a learning experience, and it really triggered your direction towards the north node. And because you experienced this trauma of some sort, um, it really also gave you a good understanding of the underworld, if I could say it like that. Um, or understanding of the darker parts of human nature. You could then have this natural ability of understanding like the deep psychological motives of people and their needs, and you know um, and be quite good at dealing with crisis, or be good at handling the darker parts of life with more ease than those around you, because you've gone through it, you understand it fully, and it's become a part of who you are, it's become a part of your psyche. um but yeah, you would have to, with this placement, learn to balance out that trauma, that dark perspective of life that you might have now, and balance it out with, becoming a bit less eighth house gothic type of way of looking at life, and be more and embrace the more sensual, grounded, earthy perspective, right? Um, and I say this because a lot of people with this placement, because they've probably been through so much, it can be quite hard for them to see life and enjoy life in a very materialistic way, because they've been through this trauma. Um, it's really hard for them to just be laid back and indulge in, you know, the senses of the material world. Um, and that's exactly what you need to learn to do. You need to learn to, while you are becoming financially independent, learn to enjoy that money, learn to enjoy whatever it is that you've discovered, um, that you now value. Buy the stuff that you realize that, oh, I actually like this. Buy those things. Um, Spoil yourself. Get a massage. Um, learn and go taste different types of foods, and figure out which foods you enjoy the most and indulge in them, and indulge all your five senses as much as possible in order to get away from your own head, get away from overthinking about all the stuff that you've been through, and thinking about all that trauma and what it did to you, and how, you know, um, how you see life. You might see it from a sense of melancholy, or see it from a very spiritual sense, but I'm not talking nice spiritual. You might see it from a very gothic, very taboo, esoteric type of way. That's why I like to use the word gothic, because I feel like it really is very eighth house energy. But you need to really learn to get out of your psyche and more into the earthly plane, be more present, um, and enjoy life for just what it is and what it has to offer, and stop thinking so much. Um, yeah, so um, yeah, you need to learn to live in the present. You really need to learn to live in the present, and learn what it is that you love to do, and do all those things, and indulge, really embrace the Taurian side of you, and be less scorpionic. So yeah, I hope this video resonates, and I hope this helped you understand yourself a bit better. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Please comment, let me know what you think, and share some experiences of how this energy manifested in your life. So yeah, thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next video.